Hey, hi. I framed today this video differently because I want to show this. I have my Tina's merch on because we're talking about bad fans. I'm a fangirl, as you can see, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's very stigmatized, I believe, and especially if you're a bit older like me, it seems like cringe to be a fangirl or a fanboy, and I think there's nothing wrong with it. However, there's people that give a bad reputation to being a fan because they're crazy. I don't want to use this word because I don't mean it in like an actual way, like you have mental issues, although sometimes we'll get there. But I'm going to talk about mainly Johnny Gilbert and the Stornello triplets. I have all of them right there. If you don't watch them or you don't even know who they are, don't worry, because some of these things are very general, like you would probably think about someone else. Let me know in the comments who you think as I explain these things, because I'm sure you have a lot of names, but I'm going to talk about them just because I follow them and I know these stories very well. Like I've seen what fans say and what they do about it, and so I think it's interesting. I will mention other names as well, but for starters we'll just go with them, because when there's a fandom, particularly if it's big, it's usually, I don't want to say toxic because I don't think that's the case, or not necessarily the case all the time, but I do think it gets to a point when it's maybe detrimental to the other fans and even the creators. So I think there's the question, is it the creators' fault when the fandom goes kind of insane and it's kind of toxic? With Johnny, he has always expressed himself in a very open way. I think he's always been transparent, probably because he started very soon, very young. He has always shown himself vulnerable on camera, so I think that's mainly why people go particularly parasocial with him, just because he's just open with his feelings, so people relate to that. And so it's also that many people that relate to that are people that are kind of desperate at that point, like their mental health is at a point where they have to grasp anything they can just to keep going. I think that's why they just hold on to Johnny. Yes, you could blame him for that because he was very open, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a really good thing. I think it gives hope. He serves as service, and particularly used to. Now his content is a little bit changed. We'll talk about that. He has a lot of videos still in his channel where he just talks about how you're not alone. If you're struggling, it will pass, you will be okay. Like, he gives so much hope to people, and I've been in bad places, not super bad, but obviously we'll all have struggled in life and we've all felt alone, and I think this type of videos really help because it makes you relate to someone and know that you're not the only one going through something. There's other people out there, because there's not only him but his fans, and that's why I think a fandom and being a fangirl, being a fanboy is not a bad thing, because I think you can relate to other people, not just the creator but the people who follow the creator. I think it's really nice when a fandom is good and it's healthy, because it just gives you a sense of community. The thing with this is that yes, people from the early beginnings started being parasocial with Johnny just because he was very open, and so people started thinking that he's their friend, and so that's a problem in there. But also it's like, I understand that now he's way more private, particularly with his emotions. That's something that he did, was explain just how he feels. I remember this video when he and his first girlfriend broke up. He has a video where he's just crying and explaining how bad he feels about it, and it's like, I don't think that's a bad thing, because again, it gives people a sense of reality as well, like he's a real person. But I understand if he doesn't do that now, just because first of all, his fandom is bigger, and second of all, he's seen how parasocial people can get, so I get it. But I don't think it's fair to say, oh, because you were vulnerable at one point, now you're getting this reaction of people, because it's like, how people feel, it's not your responsibility as long as you're doing something good. Like if you were hating on others all the time, and then his fans were also hating on others, it's like, yes, that's your fault. But if you're like just being yourself, it's not your fault how people feel about that, you know what I mean? Sorry, my attention right now is divided because my laptop doesn't fucking work. He was already suffering this type of behaviors from fans, and then he started dating Grace. Before we talk about Grace, I need to share a clip from a blog that Johnny uploaded about, like, he recently went on a tour, and there's a clip in that blog that I just...
So what does this mean?
A lot of people look up to you and you're really like letting them down.
I don't think that many people look up to me.
Yeah, he's not that tall.
Chef's kiss, that's just it. So he started dating Grace. If you don't follow him, you know how people get with hot guys, like especially young girls, and they start following these hot people. It's intense, right? And there's people that are a bit or a lot delusional, and so they think they're going to marry these people, and then these people get into relationships and they go actually insane. So we've seen this with, like, for instance, K-pop groups. If you follow K-pop artists, I'm sure you're thinking about them, because I'm pretty sure some of them are not allowed to date, like literally, just because their fans will be really upset about it, and they at least keep it a secret, which I think is very unhealthy, but whatever, we're not getting into that. Johnny started dating Grace, and the thing is, he has had one girlfriend, like I mentioned before. He was really open with that relationship, like not open, public, because he will post a lot of videos with her because she was a creator as well, and they also started very young and they were together for a long time, so obviously everyone knew about it, and then they broke up, and since then Johnny has been single-ish. We know that he was in a relationship at one point, but he didn't really share it. I believe it was very short, if I'm not wrong, and people knew who she was. I'm not going to mention her. We knew that they were dating, but they were not really public, and again, they were like very soon over, so I feel like people for the most part didn't really care. With Grace now, it's very different because first of all, Johnny has grown, like his channel has grown more since his first girlfriend, obviously, because when he started collabing with Jake, everyone started following him. Me personally, I found them together, so I think many of us started following them when they were both singles, and one of their kind of usual jokes was that they were single, that they couldn't get girls, like they have a lot of jokes about it. So I think that's part of the reason why they were upset about Grace, just because first of all they wanted to date Johnny, now they couldn't. It's like, you can't do it if he wasn't with Grace, but whatever. And then also I think it's because it kind of changed the dynamic. I think it kind of happened as well when Carrington joined the group. Jake and Johnny were living together, and then they moved, and this new creator Carrington started living with them, and they started collabing together, and so people freak out as well. So it's not just about Grace being his girlfriend, it's also that it's a new person in the group and it's going to change things, and it has, but like I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. Like I feel people want everything to stay the same, and I think that's also a bit detrimental. I feel like that's just projecting from your life because you feel sad and you feel scared that your own life is moving forward and everything is changing all the time. You want other things to not change. I think that's why many people watch shows over and over, because they know what's happening. I think that's kind of proven that little kids and people with anxiety usually watch shows or movies over and over, just because they have the safety of knowing what happens. They can expect everything that's going to occur. I think that's also why people were kind of scared about Grace dating Johnny, just because he was a new person and the dynamic was going to change. Now you might be thinking, okay, but you like Grace, and that's true. I like Grace. Like I don't necessarily follow her, like I'm not a fan of Grace like I am of Johnny, but I do think she's a nice person, or she she seems like a nice person, and again, I think she's funny. Sometimes I like some of the things she says as well. So yes, I do like Grace. So people are probably thinking, okay, but what if I don't? I don't have to like her. And I agree, you don't have to like her. But I think there's a really big line between not liking someone and going ahead and telling those people, I don't like you. It's so normalized to say that online. Imagine if you're at your workplace and you just go to someone that you work with and you're like, I hate you, actually. I don't like your personality. I think you should leave. Like, can you imagine? Maybe I should say classmate. Like, this range of age for these people, like the fandoms. I probably should say classmate, but you get what I mean. Like, imagine just going to someone in person and say, I don't like you. I think your personality is terrible. Like, you wouldn't say that. You will be fired, or if you're like in class, you will be dismissed or something. You will get reprimanded. You will probably go get sent to therapy or something. Like, why are you just telling someone that did nothing wrong to you these things? It will be insane. So why are we just saying these things online? Like, if you don't want to watch Grace and Johnny, just don't. You know what I mean? There's so many creators out there. It's like, you don't have to watch it. And I'm going to be so honest, I like Grace. What I don't like are cheesy couples. This is not about Johnny and Grace. This is just that in the beginning, when he started posting with her, I think they were very cheesy, and I will start watching a video of them and I was like, I don't want to watch this. So I just didn't. You know what I mean? It's as easy as that. You don't have to like Grace, you don't have to watch them. You can just leave. I think sometimes fans think that the people that they watch and they follow, they own something to them, and I think, I don't want to say it's the creators' fault, because yes, we do thank people. Like, I've recently reached 100 subs here, and so I made a post about it saying thank you guys for following me, and it's something genuine. Like, I can say this word, genuinely, I actually thank you guys for following me, and I'm actually thankful for you guys. That doesn't mean that you're my boss. You know what I mean? I think people have this in mind a lot. Like, if I follow you, you have to give me what I want, or else I won't follow you. And it's like, these people have like 2 million subscribers. Do you think that they're going to care about one person? Like, that's insane. Like, they don't have to listen to you. I think Johnny was already struggling with social media just because it's obviously really invasive and people just hate on everyone, and that's just sad. It makes everyone feel sad, I feel like, but also if you're the one that's receiving those comments, obviously that's going to affect you. Johnny was already kind of like not fully liking being a social media person just because people that were following him was a bit too much. And now with Grace, it's like, from my point of view, from being a fan of him, whether I like Grace or not, it's like, I think Johnny seems so much happier with her, and I don't know this, obviously. Like, I'm not talking on his behalf because I haven't talked to him, but from my perspective at home, like as a fan, I think he seems really much happier now that he's with her. So it's like, I'm going to be happy for him. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what being a fan is about. It's just, you're happy when they're happy. And I think it's crazy that people just want to ruin someone's happiness, because it's like, you supposedly like these people, like you are a fan of these people, and that's why you're like saying this thing, because you like them. It's like, it makes no sense. On the same note, if you're talking about the Storniolo triplets, I think they've been through something similar, because I never seen them having a public relationship. Just like, one of them had a girlfriend in high school, and at that point they didn't have that many subscribers, so obviously he was open about it, just like saying that he had a girlfriend, but that was it. And since then, I've never seen them talk about being in a relationship. They have talked about exes, and they've talked of, I've heard that someone was dating one of them, because there was so many rumors with them. I've seen so many people just assuming things when they weren't true. Like, I've seen them talk about who they're not dating more than who they are dating or who they have dated, which is insane. But just people make up so much. Now with them, it's also worth noting that they have a way bigger following. With Johnny we're talking, I think he's close to 3 million on YouTube and they're close to 8 so that's like crazy. But again, it's crazier that they can appear with women next to them. So they mostly have girls as fans and also younger people, so I think those two things combined can be a bit dangerous. And I'm not saying if they had men it would be better, because I see some fandoms that just have men and that's so scary to me. But what happens with girls is that, particularly young girls, if they follow them mainly because they think they're hot, that's going to get us into a dangerous place. And one of them is that they can show up with girls next to them even if they're friends. And it's sad to see, because we saw that when they were in high school they were appearing with all of these friends they had, and then they started being super good friends with Maddie Flipowitz. I don't know how to say her last name, but she's a creator too. She has a YouTube channel now as well, and she was already kind of known at that point, and they had so many videos together, and it got to a point where they decided, like the four of them decided, that Maddie wasn't going to show up in the videos anymore, just because how hateful people were being towards her.
It's just not worth vlogging with her anymore because of like how disrespectful some people are. There you guys go. There's what you guys want. The internet takes advantage of some things.
I'm going to say the same thing that I said about Grace. You don't have to like her, but you also don't have to hate her. But particularly, I think both of them have never been hated actually for their personalities or for them as people. It's just the jealousy that fans have towards them what pushed them to comment these things. And again, I don't think it's justified. I don't think you ever have to comment anything hateful. Like, even if it's someone that is actually saying something really bad, like these creators that are online being super sexist, even if you see those people, I think it's better to not comment, because that would just help them because of the algorithm. So it's like, I think it's always better to not comment if you don't have anything nice to say, no matter what the situation is. That's just my opinion, but I think it's not people's opinion, and I think it's really sad. And the other day I was actually sad watching them, because they reacted to old videos, and every time they kind of reminisce of the past, they look so sad. I think part of it is just that they're nostalgic people, and obviously if you think where you were 8 years old and you were 12 years old, like all of us are going to feel this kind of sad feeling, like now I'm older, now things are different. I think we all feel that. Them particularly, they seem now less happy, and I think a big reason is that they're just suffocated by their fans. Something that Chris said that was really upsetting, but I get it, like I really do. They were watching a video from their beginnings, like their 7th vlog or something like that. Chris said if he knew how successful I am now, he would be way happier than what he actually is, than what I actually am right now. And that's just so sad. And yes, I think part of this is that when you have a goal in life, anything that you want to achieve, when you finally achieve it, I think you've been working towards that goal for so long, you wanted it so badly, then when you actually achieve it, I think you get a feeling of emptiness, just because it's like, now what? And also maybe it wasn't as good as you thought it was going to be. But I think for them specifically, it has also been that they wanted to create this family online, like they've always said, like the Sturniolo family as their fandom, and then they discovered that that wasn't really the case. Like some of the people obviously that follow them are good people, but there are so many people that are just obsessed with them as men, not like as people, you know what I mean? They're obsessed with them just because they want to date them and they just look attractive. And it's like, and they've said this so many times, how people get really obsessed with their looks when they're trying to make jokes, when they're trying to entertain us, and people just fixate on one little thing, like when they stream on Twitch for like 3 hours. What goes to TikTok edits is just that Matt had a messy hair that day. It's true that it's kind of discouraging to be like, I don't think people are listening to me, they're just looking at me. Pretty privilege, it's like real, and I don't want to say poor them because they're whole, like I don't want to say that, but I do want to say I feel really sad when I see these fans hating on women around them just because I think of sorority. Don't girls have that in their heads? Like, that's really upsetting because it's just not about a fandom. It's that just I see that young girls nowadays are as competitive as they used to be, like back in the day when everything was super sexist and women didn't have this sense of feminism and sorority. Nowadays it seems like it's still the same, and that's just so upsetting to me. This is not about being a fan. This is just hating on women because they're women and you're a woman doing that. It makes me actually sad and angry. And one thing that I want to comment on is that I mentioned that their fans are young. I'm saying young girls, like younger people say this. I'm just being very precise with the age, and I'm going to be so honest. I don't think they have that many young people following. They have, because again, like 7 or 8 million people follow them. So yes, there are a lot of young people, but I honestly think it's not really more than like half or like 60%. Like, I don't think it's like 90% of people are under 14. Like, we think they are, because there are people that are their age, there are people that are my age, there are people that are over 30, and I've seen that. But at the same time, it's like we are not posting about them like I am right now. But I have posted some TikToks about them, but I don't have like a fan page. That's just normal because it's like I have other things to worry about. When I was in middle school, in high school, I had fan accounts. I was a big fan of Glee, and I literally have a fan account on Instagram just because it was really fun, and also I had time, you know what I mean? Like, I was just doing things for school, like I was doing homework, but that was it. Now I have so many other things to think about as an adult, so obviously younger people are going to be way more active as fans. So I think that's why we have this sense of this as just young people following them. I think Johnny has the same thing, that it's just young people, and I don't think that's necessarily true. But also something that I've noticed is that if you watch their tour videos, I think their second tour was super fun and super cool. I think the idea was really good because it was a team thing. They had 3 teams, so people would dress as one of the teams, which already make it like engaging for people. Like, they wanted to put an effort on their outfits and their looks and feel like they have teammates, and it created this sense of community again. And they will play these games on stage, so it was really fun, even from home. Like, I was just, obviously I can't, I'm not going to the US just to go to the tours, but like it was fun from home because I would wake up in the morning and be like, who won last night? And I was excited to see who won, like I was just following a football championship or something. However, even if they would have done it in my hometown, I wouldn't have gone. I'm going to be so honest because I just saw the videos and it was just 13-year-olds screaming all the time. Everyone was filming with their phones, so you couldn't even see them. I think, like, from the videos that I'm seeing, it's like you have to see them through a phone, through someone's phone, because everyone there was recording. I think I will feel so out of place just because I will feel so old being there. And I think so many people like me have this feeling, and that's why we're kind of keeping it low-key, like our fandomness. I don't know what that word is, but something that I should say is that I low-key gaslight myself into thinking that no one that's over 20 is going to hate on Grace, hate on Maddie, comment these things like, no, you can date this person because you have to marry me. Because I don't want to believe there's people so delusional to actually think and comment those things. Like, if you're over 20 in any fandom and you're literally commenting on people's pages saying that they shouldn't date anyone but you, I'm not joking, seek help. I'm not kidding. I'm literally not joking. If you're over, I said 20, honestly 16, but I don't know, over 20, and you're so delusional, I'm not joking. You need help. Like, that's not normal. You need to go to therapy. And I mean this. Like, I genuinely think you can be this delusional in life. However, it's easier to think that they're just 12-year-olds and they just don't know what's going on. And I just don't think they should have a phone, because you need to be mature if you're going to be on social media. But like, I think it's easier for me to think that it's just really young people. The question remains, is this their fault? Like, is this their fault that there's people that are so invested in them, that are so obsessed with them, and that they feel entitled to tell them what to do? Because what I've said before about people thinking the creators own them something that they do is that they have sort of a schedule, because they post every single Friday at 5:30 in there. I don't know if it's or west. So people are used to that schedule. Even me, like if it's 11:30 is here, I need to watch the video, because it's just like it became like a habit. But obviously I'm never going to say anything if they don't have the video at that exact time. They're just going to go ahead and let them know, and it's like, you haven't posted. If they ever don't post on Friday, I think people will actually be angry at them, and that's crazy, because it's like they don't have to, you know what I mean? Like, they decided to have this schedule for them, but it's like they don't own you to post that day at that time. Like I said about Johnny, I understand that they feel like they had to be more private and they don't want to share these things just because they know they're going to get hate. And also what they say particularly is that it's not that they are going to get hated on, it's that the girls around them are going to get hated on. And I get it, because it's like, if I knew that if I post with my friends they're going to get hate, I obviously wouldn't. Like, I think that's something normal, but at the same time I think people now are used to them not date anyone. And I'm going to quote this because obviously I think they have dated some people in this like 4 years that they've been on YouTube. I think obviously they have, and even if they haven't had like an actual relationship, they like have been with people, you know what I mean? At some point, in some way, we know this. Like, I think people are also gaslighting themselves, thinking no, they're celibate. I think people are just so used to not having to deal with these things that when something like, again, like a rumor start being spread on TikTok, like this girl is dating this one of the triplets, it's like people go insane just because they think they can demand to not have these things happen. And it's like, again, like I said about K-pop, that's crazy that the firms they're like the companies tell them to not date anyone, to not upset the fans, because it's just what fans are going to expect from them moving forward. Like, forever you just can't date anyone because I can have that, I can deal with that. Like, that's insane. Also, you don't have to be public with your relationship. Like, I was talking about Johnny, but Jake also has a girlfriend now, Jake Weber, and we never hear about her. He just wants to keep their relationship really private, and I think that's just fine, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to actually share it. Like, obviously we know they're dating, so like it's not fully a secret. They can be private, and that's completely fine. But I do think the triplets have been so secretive. Like I said, there's a line between being private and being secretive, and I think they've been really secretive and like pretending that they never dated anyone, or like not pretend, because I don't think they're pretending, they're just not ever talking about those things. They're just trying to avoid these things. Obviously I get it, but I don't think that's kind of making the fans being like used to that. I think the moment they want to be open about relationships, it's going to be a really big step for them, and I think they're going to be really afraid to do so, which I get, again, like I understand, but also it's like, I don't think you should repress if you have something going on and you want to share. I don't think you should be like, no, I can't, because they're going to get hated on, this person. It's like, yes, at the same time it's also kind of the price they paid for being with you, which sounds terrible. They know they're dating you. You know what I mean? So it's like, yes, you're going to get hated on, but at the same time, you know it's not for real. Like, you know it's not about you specifically. It's just about you dating this person. Does this make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. And I'm not telling them, like, obviously they're not going to watch this video, so that's why I'm speaking so openly, because I know no one is going to watch this. But just so you know, you guys know, I'm not telling them to be open. I don't want to say the word fault, because I don't think it's not a bad thing. It's a consequence from the decision you made, but also, like I've said before, people's feelings and people's reaction about what you do in your life, like just personally, it's not your fault and it's not your responsibility. Did they create this? I don't think so, because at the beginning they weren't this secretive. It's just that people started getting so obsessed with them that at this point they just feel like a boy band. Yes, it can be causing some of the issues, but I don't think it was the cause, because I think it just started itself. Now, one more thing before I left, because I know it sounds like I'm blaming women, like I'm blaming young girls, like I'm blaming fandoms that are based on girls. I think it's so powerful to have a fandom that is mostly female, and I get so angry. Now I'm going to criticize. I've been saying all this time, don't hate on people. I'm going to hate on someone and I'm going to name them because I was so upset about it. I used to follow Matt Rife. He's a comedian, and I used to follow him because I think he's funny, or he was, because now he's kind of changing a little bit. I'm not going to talk about his comedy. I used to like him, and you know why I stopped liking him? I unfollowed him literally because he started complaining about having a female audience, which is what led him to success. If he didn't have women following him, he wouldn't be this successful. And what he started saying, women come to my show because they're attracted to me, and then they get super shocked with what I say, and their boyfriends are really upset with me at first, like they're mad at me just because they see me, and then they're ones who laugh.
My comedy is so much more for guys than it is girls.
Can you be more conceited, narcissistic, and sexist in one sentence, like with one thought that you said? Can you be worse? Because I was like, that's what you think? That we all just follow you because you're hot? Like, that's doubting yourself just because you doubt about women taste. That happens a lot, and I see it with guys who has mostly a female following. They don't think they're worth it just because other men don't give them their approval. So it's like, our approval means nothing to them. They need other men to tell them they're worth it. If they just have women following them, they assume we all just care about looks. Deep down, I just want to say, do you think we're men? Like, is that what you think, that we only care about looks? Because that's men, okay? Like, I understand that there's so many women that just look at hot men and want to follow them just because they're hot. Obviously, I think this happens with everyone. Just keep in that mind, so many people are gay, bisexual, pansexual, just gender fluid, so it's not anymore about men and women. Because here's the thing, I just follow men that I think are nice men, okay? And I mean this, I watch some people on YouTube. I watch these men just because the titles seem appealing to me, and then I'm watching the video and I don't feel safe. And it's like, I know it's a video, but I don't feel comfortable. I need to follow guys that I feel comfortable around. If I had them in person next to me, I would need to feel comfortable in that situation. So if you're a guy having a female following, and instead of being proud of yourself for making women feel comfortable around you and being thankful to them for giving you the success you have, instead of that you just complain that you don't have men, then you don't deserve any following. And that's all I want to say, because I know throughout the video it just sounds like I'm hating on women and just complaining about girls fandoms. I'm not saying that, because I feel way more comfortable when I'm around girls, and when I watch girls, I know I just have men there. I know, okay, I'm aware, I'm going to change that, that I do follow a lot of women, and I think it's so nice to just have girls to watch like Jasmine Lee and Linda Sun and Claudia Walsh and Sydney Schiffer, and all these people that I know, most of their following they have are also girls, and it's just such a safe space for me. And I think that's why I like these fandoms as well, because I like them, but also the fans they have are women, and I feel safe in those fandoms. You know what I mean? So anyways, after all this rant, let me know what you thought, if you agree with me or not. Subscribe to this channel as well because it's free and you can change your mind anytime. Have a nice week.